Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop. All the news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's the host.
Welcome back. This is Bettina Lawton. I am your host of Inside Scoop Virginia, and we have with us now Traci Dippert. She is running for the Virginia House of Delegates. She is a brand new candidate. It's the 30th district, which is Madison, Orange County, and parts of Culpeper, and she is running against an incumbent Republican. And welcome. I'm glad you could make it all the way up here.
I am glad we made it too.
Well, let me find out a little bit about you and tell everybody who you are. Okay. You are an educator. So
I am.
You have degrees in education. Is that how this works?
Yes, I have been a music teacher for 16 years. I have 5 years of education, including a master's degree. And I teach general music preschool through 7th grade. And so it's a nice variety and a lot of change. I teach in a wonderful district, Rappahannock County, nestled up on the Blue Ridge Mountains. Mm-hmm. And it's in 3rd grade I decided I wanted to be a teacher. In 9th grade I decided I wanted to be a music teacher. And so I was lucky to find my lot early in life. And so things are going well, and this is a new venture for me.
Well, and you've been a teacher for like 16 years, I read someplace, so you've got a lot of experience in that area.
I do.
So why would you run for the House of Delegates? I mean, I think actually working with young children is probably a good thing, actually.
You would think.
Other than that, why?
At least you have the patience, right?
Right, exactly. You sort of know how to deal with certain people who are misbehaving all the time.
Well, I am chair of the Culpeper County Democratic Committee, and one of my jobs has been to find someone to run against Mr. Scott. And so I've been trying to do that. I couldn't find anybody to do that. And so eventually I just came to the realization that it was supposed to be me.
Okay. And how's it going?
It's going amazingly well. My opponent has run unopposed for the last 8 years. Most people don't care for that. He has proven that he has lost touch with the district. He started out as a moderate, which was okay 10 years ago, but he's moved farther and farther to the right every election that he's run unopposed, which is the reason why I'm running, which is the reason I'm getting a lot of support inside the district as well as outside the district. I decided to run last year. He came home from that horrendous legislative session last year. They came home without a budget. They had tried to push through they did push through the aggressive women's legislation in regards to the transvaginal ultrasound, the personhood bill. He came home and he put in an article in the local newspaper, and in it he did not use the words jobs, economy, infrastructure, or education. It was that moment that I decided that the voters needed another choice. It's really not about me, it's about the voters and deserving good representation.
So do you think that he got complacent over those 8 years of being unopposed?
He's actually quoted as saying he had to vote that way so that he could keep his committee appointments.
Wow, okay. So that's a lot of party discipline there as opposed to personal beliefs.
Exactly, and at some point you have to decide what you're standing for. Are you standing for a better committee? Or are you standing up for the citizens that voted you in?
So let's talk about education, because obviously that's where you are. That's what you do. Mm-hmm. I read that your opponent does not have a very good rating by the I think it was the Virginia Education Association.
Failing grade of 55 over the last 2 years. Which is interesting because he voted in favor of labeling schools A through F.
So he got an F.
Exactly.
Interesting. So what's your plans when you get elected for education? What are the top education issues that you see out there?
Well, one of the first things we need to do is we need to get VRS solvent. That's the Virginia retirement system. Okay. The governor a couple of years ago borrowed a lot of money from that.
He was balancing the budget or something,
he was,
as I recall.
And he's also had a surplus the last 4 years, but they're not paying it back at an increased rate with the surplus they have. Actually, they borrowed it and are paying it back at a lower interest rate than if they had left it alone to begin with. In addition, some of the investors for VRS just got big bonuses. That's their job. When I do my job, I get my normal paycheck. I don't get a bonus. Mm-hmm. And so we need to make sure that the right things are being done with VRS, because as a public servant, I get paid modestly, but there was always a nice retirement system as part of your package, and we need to ensure that, because Virginia is an amazing state, but if we don't start increasing our quality of education, Virginia is one of the 10 wealthiest states in the country. Average teacher pay is 49th. So we need to do better, because they'll go to Ohio, they'll go to Pennsylvania, they'll go to Maryland. Our students deserve quality teachers.
Okay. Now, what about the issue of affordability, particularly at the college levels? We're seeing a lot now saying they just can't afford it. And Virginia is one of those states that's cited as having, we've got all of these, wonderful universities, but the costs are really getting out of hand.
Yeah, we need to rein those in, and we need to see where the money is going from, or we're going to, rather. A quality education doesn't have to cost lots, and I am a sports person. I played sports in high school all the way up through, but a large portion of the money the colleges make is going towards sports, and we need to look at that. And I am all for sports, but we have to make it balanced. We also need to increase our career and technology education. Not everybody needs to go to a 2 or 4 year school. So we have lots of jobs which need training, HVAC, carpenter, electrical, all of those things. And those jobs are valued. Everybody loves a good car mechanic. Everybody loves, a good person who comes and does their job well and knows what they're doing. And so there's value at every level. So we just have to make sure that we keep Virginia's colleges going, and also make sure that Virginia students get first crack at our colleges too. That has been talked about as well. How the colleges make more money from out of state. But what is our goal? Our goal is to educate, first is to educate the students of our own state and to keep them in our state. They're our best resource. They're our talent pool.
Well, I read someplace that the justification the colleges use for having larger numbers of folks from out of state was somehow that the extra cost of tuition that those folks were paying was somehow subsidizing the in-state folks. I'm not sure how that really plays, or if there's actually any good data on that.
I'm not positive on that. That would be definitely something I would look into. As a candidate, I don't have every single answer, but I'm curious enough, and I do teamwork well enough that I would be able to work with the right people to find those answers and make the right recommendations.
Okay. Now, where do you stand, because you mentioned the transvaginal ultrasound issues. We know that was just a debacle. We were on the late shows and jokes. So on women's reproductive health, are you in favor of trying to have the TARP regulations that regulate the clinics revoked, repealed?
Definitely revoked. The purpose wasn't what they said, and those clinics provide so many services, and abortions are just a small part of them, but low-cost birth control as well as cancer screenings. And my opponent voted against funding for those sorts of things. And Planned Parenthood actually prevents more pregnancies, and so we need to make that available to everyone. I used it when I was in college, and it's a wonderful, wonderful service. We need to do better. I am pro-women. I'm pro-woman. We need to make sure that healthcare decisions are made between the woman, her family, and her doctor, and they need quality and affordable and accessible services.
Well, I've always sort of said to folks, just because you're closing the clinic doesn't mean that the health needs disappear.
Right.
They have to get channeled someplace, and that's where we lose sight of it.
Correct.
We lose sight that we're not really making any progress. We're just closing a building.
Pap smears, mammograms, all of those preventative and cancer screening are important for women's health.
Okay. Let's also talk then about the jobs. You talked a little bit about not everybody needs the 2 and the 4 years. How do we get more jobs into your district?
Everything is interconnected, and we talk about everything like it's separate: transportation, education, infrastructure, healthcare, but they're really all connected. If we want to have a prosperous 30th district, we have to invest in all of these. Education, I believe, is the cornerstone. If we have a good education system, businesses will come to the 30th district for 2 reasons. 1, because they have quality schools to put their children in. 2, because they're going to have a quality workforce. Okay, so now we bring businesses into the 30th district. What does that do? That raises our tax base. What do we do with the tax base? We build better schools, hire more teachers, reduce class sizes. We also make sure that the infrastructure can handle the population that we have.
And how is it, because you're down the whole Culpeper area is the Route 95 area, which is always backlogged.
Actually, we're east of
that.
95. Yeah, yeah. About an hour southwest of Dulles.
Okay.
An hour southwest of Dulles.
So do you have particular transportation goals for that part of the state?
There are a couple of things that are very important. We just opened a new high school, and the high school is on the other side of 29 in Culpeper County. And so buses and students are driving across there and on there and slowing down and turning. So we just got the money for an overpass, which is extremely important. I have been terrified since that school opened up that we were going to have a tragedy in regards to a teacher, a student, a family, a bus. And so that's one of the things that we need to make sure that we keep our students safe. And that would be one of the first things that we do it right, we do it well, and we do it in a timely way.
Okay. Let's talk about uranium mining.
Why?
Where do you stand? Why? Well, because it's one of those issues that seems to keep coming up.
It does.
And a lot of folks seem to have very strong views on those. So where do you?
Well, the answer to that for me is the Virginia fault line, because I lived in upstate New York. I grew in upstate New York. We didn't really have those sorts of things, and I didn't think Virginia did either. And so that fault line, I was sitting at my desk the day before the first day of school when that earthquake came. And I don't know if everybody remembers, but an earthquake, you hear it first before you feel it, which is awfully interesting. But they haven't convinced me that it's safe yet. And with the fault line and with the concerns over what they're going to do with the waste and the possibilities of it getting into the water are just two big concerns for me. I think we can go other ways when it comes to energy. Solar and water in Virginia are two amazingly wonderful green energies that we need to be expanding on.
Okay. Voter identification bills. I saw that mentioned someplace in connection with you. Where are you on that? Because we have a new one that goes into effect next year.
Next year, yes. And what I need everybody to understand is whatever you used last year to vote, you can use this year to vote. Nothing changes for this time. Voter fraud is very, very, very minute, and it's really an answer looking for a problem. If the state of Virginia gives you something that says you can vote, that should be good enough.
Okay.
If they want something with a picture, they need to put it on there.
Well, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, Traci, for coming.
You.
I
Thank
appreciate
you for
it.
having me.
Good luck.
Thank you.